So for those of you guys that are new to the channel, if you're watching on TikTok or YouTube, um, if you're on TikTok, I don't watch comments starting now until about 9 a.m. EST. Once I'm done, I usually give about 15 minutes, 10 minutes of time there on TikTok to answer any questions you have. So if you are on, please stick around. And I'll be happy to answer those. So, as far as the channel goes, I'll be covering the SPY mostly, as far as the stock that we trade, or the ETF, I guess. And then I'll cover some of the tech stocks, and then ETH and Bitcoin, and then I'll talk a little bit about the options ATA and kind of where we're at with that. So let's talk about the SPY. So you can see on the SPY here, on Monday, let me find it. Here's Monday. Let me move this to regular hours just so we can keep it down in normal hours here for a second, because I like to talk about our day, right? How we did it. So you can see on Monday we didn't really trade. I actually didn't really do much of anything on it because although we kind of ranged up, it wasn't a bad trade the whole day. If you notice, we had a short day, so I knew that there was the opportunity of getting stuck in something. I didn't like it because the pressure was north pretty strong, so I didn't really want to take a put per se. Um, but I didn't really want to take a long or a call because, like, even this long right here that popped, we're near some heavy resistance. The Bollingers, were flipping red, they were tightening up. A lot of things were showing that we were not going to hold this range. You had the bearish divergence. I mean, our indicators were definitely popping, saying that you might want to take a put. But I just didn't like any of this all the way to end of day. Normally, if I see this setup, I might take a put at end of the day on my own here because we do have kind of that rising wedge channel, and then we also were up against heavy resistance here. And so you can see that's playing out perfectly so far. So it would have been a great open. I'm just not a big fan because we scalp of burning days for options, meaning I don't want to enter a trade at the end of market when I know the next day is not open. It's just you're basically just burning a day, right? So you better be right if you do that. In this case, it could have been really profitable, right? But hindsight's always nice after you see it. So let's talk about where we're at, where we're going, why I'm not surprised that we're falling, and where we go from here. So if you look at here, if you zoom out, let me mute this Harmonic Tracker Pro. All right, so the primary things that I'm going to be looking at today when I trade is I'm going to take this lower line here and I'm going to just match it up with this lower wick around there. I don't know why that is blue. I haven't even done a blue line in forever. So this will kind of be the bottom support that I'll be watching today. Now, if you remember, we talked about on Friday as well as on Monday that I was anticipating that we were going to get some form of a double top here. We kind of held support, had a little mini double top, broke down again. The grand scheme of things, if you look at this, guys, be really careful in your calls because we do have a triple top now off a resistance, and that's already broken the neckline. So typically what happens when you see something like this is we may actually see a little bit of a push up at market open, right? And it could even come up to retest either this right here, right, which is going to be our 200 EMA in the 5 minute, and then reject like that. But the most thing is the EMA right here looks like it's going to line up with what was prior support. So this is a very big deal to watch, because if we do pump up on pre-market, or post-market once it opens, and we do hit here and we do find resistance around 42.68, that fall is going to be pretty nasty. So probably all the way down to 440, and we may just straight open and collapse there, right? That could be possible. The other scenario is that we already have come down here and it failed to create even a higher high here. So if it does break this support level, market open or within a few hours after, right, we could come as low as 439.87 before we bounce up to retest that neckline. So that's kind of the areas that I'm going to be watching. On the 5 minute, it's calling for possible bullish gap fill. That just because if you follow this line here, right, it's been mostly a fall, right? So it's saying that it's due for a bounce here pretty soon. Whenever that's due for a bounce, I always like to look at prior levels. And so you look back here. So we did reject, if you notice, right at this peak here is where we pretty much held all of our resistance and then collapsed down. 440, 45 or so, if you look back here, was pretty good support. So that could be definitely a bounce area. If that area breaks, right, then it's going to collapse down pretty good. Probably, I would, just follow this line here, guys. Let me make sure that this line it might have been off of one indicator. Yeah, it's a little bit low, actually. I think the Harmonic Pro got in my way. That's why I always highly recommend that y'all mute your loud indicators, because you want to make sure you're actually capturing at least a wick here. But this is going to be the line that I'm going to watch. If this line breaks right here on the short-term time frame, right, then this is going to be a triple top, and we will continue to reverse. So you could ride this train all the way down to 437 or even 436, right? Now keep in mind, let's look at the RSI on the 5 minute. Are we on the? Yeah, we're on extended. Okay. On the 5 minute, we're a little bit oversold. So let's look at the higher time frames. 15 minute, we're definitely oversold. And we're getting a little bit of bullish divergence. Not a ton, right? But you got a little bit low here, and you got higher low there. So it's just starting to creep up. On the 1 hour, we're still red. We still have plenty of room that we can go down, and we do have some gap fills down here. So you all know I love to gauge the 1 hour. I would not be surprised if we break this trend line either today or tomorrow, and come down for a retest of this 1 hour EMA before we pump north in a big way. So overall, I'm still pretty bullish on the SPY and the stocks, but I just, you always need a cool off, right? And so the more important picture is, let me add this one here. So if you go to the daily, remember we all talked about this a while ago, that we were likely not to break this prior high here. It broke it in a wick, but it did not hold it. And you can see in the pre-market, we're actually going to open up bearish, right, on this descent down. This could be a very long-term, double top that could play out. I mean, it could take another 7 or 8 days or so before we get down to this neckline, which would be about 431. Now, the most important part, if this is even going to have a hope to break, this is the area you're going to want to watch, that 200 EMA, which is going to be around 435, probably 436 by then. If we do flip this one, and we did get bearish divergence, actually, it's funny. So we did get a little higher high, and we have a lower high here. So with that bearish divergence in there, this flipping red, plus this 200 EMA flipping, if we flip that, the fall should be pretty nasty from there. We'll probably get down to like the 420 range, 418, 419. This is I apologize. This is the 21 SMA. Where actually, I need to change the colors on this because the dual orange throws me off when I flip time frames. But the 21 SMA is this line right here. This is the 200 EMA, right? So we could come down here, but then that could take this right here would be where I would anticipate if this double top actually broke. Then we would come all the way back down to there, which I do think's very possible. I do think it's very possible, but I don't follow the daily a whole lot other than just long-term guidance of direction. I like to do the 1 hour or less, so that's kind of where I'm at with that. Let's talk about some of the tech stocks here. So Apple has been absolutely exciting to watch. I'm just going to go to the 15-minute, but you can see when Apple was just constantly just shattering these right at 194. It just needed a cool off. I mean, you can see even on the 15-minute, right, we were still super overbought. Our indicator did really well, called that short here, and then had the double top, right. So we came down. The primary thing I would watch on Apple is we are getting a little bit of a double bottom, but we also are getting a little bit of a death cross, right? So you have the 21 SMAs crossing the 200 EMA. So it's going to be a big day today, because if this opens and it breaks north here, it's going to break north in a really big way, because of the fact that it's going to flip this death cross back up, as well as double bottom and get the candles above it. However, if we break below and it breaks this lower support level around 191 or so, then it's almost a guarantee that you're going to continue down to probably 189 or even lower, right? 188. So again, if you took calls in here, I said I would not take any calls somewhere around here. It did pump up some more, but for me, I find it safer and more profitable if I wait out that call when it's way, way, way over bought like this, and then wait for the indicator setup and then ride that put down. So, but indicators nailed that one. Let's look at Google. So Google on the 2-minute and the extended hours just called a short. I know there's a lot going on here because our zone tracker is calling tons of support in here. Let me mute that one. Okay. So you can kind of see where we are falling down here. Now, the interesting thing is we do have a short call. We are below the EMA on the 2-minute that I trade, but we do have a bullish gap fill. So it's expected to get some support. What you could see a lot of times when those indicators like that are both directions, you could see a pull down, right? Hit TP1, hit this support level, which would still be that bullish gap fill, and then a push north. But I would look for support around 118.85, low maybe 118.62. If that happens to break, a lot of times I like to go to the 15-minute. Y'all remember when I talked about Google? I'm actually going to go to the 1 hour, and I'm going to mute the harmonic one. All right, so y'all remember on Monday I had talked about this run right here was not really sustainable. We had a rounded top, and it almost had like a inverted cup and handle kind of forming. It's still in play. You got that rounded top. You came down here, retested this, kind of got that handle forming. So if it comes down like this, and if Google happens to break 116.22, that fall is going to be pretty nasty. I mean, it's going to be pretty nasty. So I'd be really, really careful on your calls on Google. There's a lot of other better options to trade. I'm kind of watching the time too, because I don't want to get too deep time-wise. So let me mute the zone one here. We'll leave the harmonic one on for now. Microsoft, you can see it did call a short on this drop here, which would be in profit right here on open, so that was a great play. Also looking to have a little bullish divergence. So we might get a possible little bounce up. Let's take a look at the 1 hour. I don't know why I have this one. Let's take that one off. Okay, let's look at the 1 hour. I mean, we are coming down, but we do have plenty of room to go down. Our Bollinger actually flipped green and is still holding green on the 1 hour. If I put the zone tracker back in on the 1 hour, let's see where the 200 is. So you can see the 200 is just kind of going sideways, right? So currently we're below. As long as we stay below this 200, if we get this death cross, then it's going to pull back pretty good. Probably as low as 328 to retest this support. So if you're looking for a call entry, I would hang out till about 330 and then ride that way back up. If you're looking for a put, there's a very good chance that you could get kind of a head and shoulder look in here. I would wait for market open to push north and take that put somewhere around 436, 437, and then you could ride that down if you're more of a bear. That's where I would go with Microsoft. I'm going to jump over to Tesla just for the sake of time. Tesla was kind of fun to watch. So it's funny. Again, everybody, Friday was asking about Tesla. I think it was Monday, actually. Yeah, Monday. And I said I would not take a call on Tesla, because the reason why is because, I mean, they had their, reports come out and stuff super bullish. And so you got a just massive push north. I mean, this was almost like a $16 push, right, in after hours. Um, and so for us to market open, I think we market open right here. This is what happens, when you market open like this. This is called FOMO. Everybody in the world hopped on this train. They rode this sucker up, right? If you got in early, right at open, you probably made some money. But you're gambling with this stuff, right? And you can see immediately it hit resistance and shot right back down. So, and we just been trading sideways since. So, for me, I would not take a call on Tesla, just because you can see where it's rejecting. Same place that it did. If anything, you should be waiting for a put setup. I would, on my indicators here, I would wait for this long to flip to a short on maybe the 15-minute or the 5-minute. Let's see if the 5-minute says. At least it shows something. Yeah, the 5-minute actually already called the short back here. Right, so that one already hit profit. So you'd probably want to wait for the 15-minute on Tesla, but I would not take a call on this, right? I mean, it could be a very, very well a pump, right, sideways trade, and then another pump or rise, but you're taking such a chance, especially with the fact that it could not break this prior high and hold it. All right, I mean, if it breaks that high, I mean, it's let's look and see if we can find where it would go from there. Yeah, so if it breaks this high here, next stop is like 313. So now if I'm taking calls on this, I want to wait till it breaks this level, the 282 or so level. I want to have it break it and hold as support. Gosh, look at this. I mean, this is the 4-hour, right? But you have equal or higher highs and just such a big lower low, right? So you got bearish divergence here, you got bearish divergence there. I don't know. I would be taking puts on the right setup on Tesla. If you did not take the call, yeah, you've missed it. So let's jump into crypto. If I missed your tech stock, y'all are welcome to always come in to the trading floor, and I do any one of them that you want me to look at using our indicators. So let's talk about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin does not surprise me whatsoever. I was kind of watching it over the weekend, and we talked about this on, I think it was Friday, right? Yeah, because this was the morning of pretty much Friday. So we talked about we had this pump up, right? And then we were probably likely going to roll sideways. And then one of the things that I had talked about is we'd have to break these higher levels, right? And so if you go to the 4-hour here, you can see that the high level here was 31 back in April. And then you look at back here, right? This is June 23rd that we hit our high, which was 31,432. What we had talked about is that we may see a pump up to retest that. It did. It almost hit it, didn't quite make it. Instantly rejected in a big way, actually. Yeah, it was like, I mean, this was an amazing short. You can see the wick was all the way down to 29.5 on June 30th, right? Then it came back with some strength, pumped back up, and it tried to break it again. And the moment that it couldn't, and it caused this bearish candle here, that basically was a sign that it was just coming back down. So where's Bitcoin going from now? For now, if you look at it, we just have continuous downtrend in the RSI. It did get a little bit of a higher high here, but I would suspect on the 1 hour, let's look at I like to follow the 1 hour 221. So let's see. So the 200 is in about 30,523. So we're actually below that. If we get this death cross, I would look for the 21 SMA to cross, and then if we stay below that 21 SMA, it's going to squeeze into this support line around 29.9 or so. And if it breaks, right, then we're going to just have our classic up, over, down, and the fall can be pretty gross, pretty nasty, because you can see there's really not a trend line, because this gap is so massive from when we pumped up from 24, 25. But yeah, I would look for this level here. If you want to take calls or calls, my switch into options throwing me off. If you want to take longs, around 29.9 would be decent entries. Just wait for that bullish engulfing candle up. Wait for the long call on the indicator on the lower time frame. We are oversold, but we do have a little room we could go down still. But if we continue to hold this range, right, then it's going to come back up for this this squeeze north. So I would just ride the indicators, play the range. But like I said, we do have some things, we do have that Bollinger squeeze. We did pump up, we got rejected. And it is flipping red, right? So I don't know. It's looking fairly bearish to me. It's going to highly depend on this 1 hour 200 EMA. If we stay below that, we have more downside for sure. So I would watch that level. As far as the high, I mean, it's pretty obvious. It can come back up for that retest. So our 2-minute call this short. There were some long calls in here, but these are obviously not going to be ideal because of all the red that you have here. Plus, you're below that SMA and EMA. And if you look here, notice well, this is kind of what I was talking about in the higher time frame. See, this top one's the 200, this bottom one's the 21, and you can see that it's just been riding the 21, and it just can't break it, right? So it's getting ready to actually squeeze the 21. So as far as ETH goes, let's zoom out and look. You got a big old head and shoulder forming here on the 1 hour. So if we get one more push up around 1930 and it cannot break it, I would highly suggest you take a put, because take a short. This options crypto talk back and forth, throwing me off. You take a short here, right, and then ride that sucker back down to around 1830. We are considered oversold technically here, and we are in a support zone, right? So you could ride that wave back up if it goes through. So. But the range, for ETH, again, if you zoom out, I mean, we have a long way that we can still come down here. If you want to try to find a line, you'd almost have to go to the daily, and then and you can do this for any of them. I highly suggest, guys, and I do this normally when I'm not recording, just mute your indicators if you're drawing support and resistance lines, because it's so much easier to see these levels, right? So you can see, you can kind of play with this. You can take this wick here, you can come up like that if you want to try to get a second touch, for a low. If you want something more localized, a little bit closer to the candles, you could take this wick here, because you can see, if you look at this one, it's pretty viable, because you have your hit here, you have your hit here, right, which shot way up, you have your hit here, which shot way up. So this is how I usually trade it, is if I want to take that short, I would wait till it breaks this level, holds as resistance, and then I'm going to ride it from there to there, is how I would trade that. So now if you take the peak here and you go like this would be kind of your upper channel, and then I would just extend this like that. So this is how I would zone in ETH to trade that on the daily, and then it just gives you an idea. So if you come back up here and you hit this line here on 2177, right, which is obviously way up, you'd want to stay short on that. If you come back down into 1750, you're probably going to want to stay long, right, because this is how I used to trade the ATAs within that zone. So, but if we break that level, right, I mean, you can see a low of 1489 still. It's very possible, depending on how the markets go. So that's all I'm going to do for now on the crypto and the stocks. Let me talk about the ATA. So we are super excited about this, guys. I get a lot of questions on the side, emails or on TikTok. So for those who are just kind of catching up, our ATA is Automated Trading Assistant. It's basically a bot. We just don't call it a bot because it's so much more. The beauty of our ATAs is we've set up two ways to do this. If you're the person that you're like, hey, I just want a bot to run, I don't want to touch it, I don't want to change settings, I just want to like plug it in, I don't want a TradingView account, then we have a copy trade feature where you can actually log in, link your Tastytrade account, to a copy trade, and then anything that during these recordings settings that I choose to do, you would just follow. Now, I don't choose the trades. This is all done through the algorithm. All I do is I choose the setting. I choose the direction, right? So you also, if you don't want to do a copy trade, you want to do it yourself, right? You have the power. If you have an idea how to trade, a little bit of TA knowledge, it can be super powerful. So what this is going to do is it's going to automate the trades for you. You're just plugging in a few settings on the indicator, right, which you get on your own trading view, and then it'll execute the trades for you. So you can see here for TikTok, I'm going to zoom you in a little bit just so you can see a little better. Yeah, I did Apple. Sorry, I just see that comment. I did Apple. You can watch the recording on botjock.com and go to community events. So you got call input here. You can choose. Right now we're only doing the SPY. We plan to expand that, but we want to test out the SPY first. Currently, we only support tastytrade options. We will be doing tastytrade futures probably shortly after we launch the tastytrade options. You get the power of choosing how many contracts days that you want to do. So if you're one that wants to let it DCA its way out of something, right, you can do more contract days. If you are one that just wants to, get in, make your money, and get out, you can do less. Keep in mind the more contract days, the more expensive the contracts are, so less trades you might be able to take depending on how big your account is. And then also the days are important because obviously, so today's Wednesday, which would be a 0 day, Thursday would be a 1 day, Friday would be a 2 day, Saturday would be a 3 day. So obviously I cannot have this a 3 day because the exchange is going to reject it because it doesn't allow it. So if you're managing your own, those are things you got to take into consideration, right? Which if you know how to trade options, you already know that anyways. But the beauty of our technology is you can literally spend 5-10 minutes in the morning before work or whatever, set up your settings for the day, turn it on, go to work, and come home and see how it did, right? And so we do have built-in strategies. Parabolic SARS is probably the most passive, that and support and resistance. The other ones are very aggressive. Aggressive is good. Like if I go to range filter here, you can backtest. It'll actually show you the backtest of how it would have performed. And if you see range filter would have actually got stuck, right? Because look at it's such a big uptrend. But if you are in capturing the correct trend, you can see how it just trades like a monster. I mean, this thing just, so if you know how to trade, right, and you're following the localized trend, then you want to use range filter for that day because it just literally could be absolutely profitable, right? So like right now, up here, like we talked about, we're opening south. We might have trouble breaking this resistance level. So I may want to run, put on range filter, and I may want to run my calls, right, on parabolic SARS, right? Because again, if I'm on SARS, if you look at the backtesting strategy, it's a lot more passive, and it actually didn't get caught. Look how strategic this thing placed puts on the way up, and it's in a put right now at 442.08, which is in profit, right, on market open. So it's going to be pretty awesome. And to continue down, right, you get to choose your strike price percentage away. So those who know how to trade options, this big white line is going to be your strike price. So like right here on this 442.08, it shows a strike price of 440.78. Now obviously you can't do 0.78, so it will always round it away from it. So the strike price that would have initiated on this would have been 440. So about $2 away, and you're, inching that way. So it definitely is going to open up at a very good profitable trade there. So you get to set your take profits again. I set the exchange fees are so low on tastytrade. We set the movement profit really low because we can't fight time. Some of you who know with crypto, if the ATA would get stuck, right, you just wait a week, 2 weeks while you're earning on other pairs. Options, you don't want to really do that because you don't have time. You want to either get in a good trade or get out, right? And the objective is to win more trades than you lose, right? It's the ideal. Now, if you come down here, the DCAs, right, you can do up to 3 if you want to. Default is just 1. It's basically 0.5. It'll take one shot, either it gets out or it's likely to stop out. You do have percentage stop loss you can add, stop trades after stop loss, and you can close all trades in the end of day. So you may run like a 1 day or 2 day contract, and you might say like right here, hey, I don't want to let anything run, right? And see, it'll close it at the end of the day. But there's times it may help you, but then there's times that it may hurt you. Because see, down here, you took one, you could have took a loss at the end of the day, but then look at the very next day. I mean, this is a massive trade. I mean, it's like a dollar movement, right? So it could have got you into a really big trade doing that. But then there's times like this where it would have stopped you out, market opens, and you would have been in profit, right? So, when we build these ATAs, we just want to give you all options that you can have, because if you know what you're doing, they can be super powerful for you. So, but if you don't know how to trade, if you're like, man, this is cool, but this is a lot, we have copy trade. Guess what? I built this thing, right? Or, us at Budjock, we built this thing. So, I know the settings inside and out. And so I'm going to always apply my TA to the best settings that I can do. And so if you don't want to deal with that, you just want to log in and, make some money, then just copy trade me, right? And every change that I make is all recorded. It's all live like this. So you're going to be able to see my thoughts, what I'm doing. And if you don't like it, you just turn it off, right? You pause it while, I make my decisions. So, but yeah, that, it's super exciting, guys. It looks really good. We do have a, so this would be the calls, right? If it took, just absolutely dominated the push north, on range filter. If you look at, I'll show the P&L box. I have it off because we're calculating profit on options to code is a lot more difficult. It shows 0 because I have this set up on alert. Let me pull it back. Let's see. Let's pull it back to like 6, 20 or something. Yeah, so you can see, not focusing on the dollar, obviously, because the fees and the dollars are not going to be accurate, but focus on the trades. If you're looking at this on TikTok, so if you look at this in a total of, let's see, 620. Yeah, so it's measuring out 3 days. It's going to be more than 3 days. That's why I'm just confused looking at that. Again, we're still building this. That's why those numbers are off. But the amount of trades it takes and the stop losses, that's all accurate. So you can see it took 39 trades, only had 1 stop loss, only had to DCA 1 time out of the 39 trades that it had. So again, for those that are new, we're building this. It is done. We are testing it actually live on an account on Wednesday or on Monday and as well today. But you can see this looks like the stop loss that it took, right? Let me back this up right there. And then you can kind of see there's nothing else, right, since we started it here. Look at how well it did actually in a downtrend. So it crushes it, guys. I'm super excited to launch this. Today's gonna be an important day because we're gonna continue to. Yeah, this is for options. Yep, this is going to be on the SPY for options. And we're going to build one for futures too on stocks. And we're going to eventually open up to more like QQQ and, the Teslas, the Amazons, all that. But we're just going to start with SPY just for now. So, but real excited, guys. It is 9:03, so I don't want to keep going for the community. But just if you're even interested in something like this, check us out at botjock.com. You can come in, and if you're on TikTok or YouTube, it looks like that. That is our website. So you can take a look at it. You guys can, if you're just even curious, you can sign up for free, get into the community. You get access to the trading floor, everything like that. You can ask questions, come hang out, and then if you're looking to sign up, my recommendation I tell everybody is create a Tasty Trade account because that's the one we're linked to now. They've been the most helpful with us. So we've chosen to go with them for now. We will expand it into other ones, but that's the one we're going to go through for now. But they've been extremely helpful with helping us with the API settings and setting up that. And we've actually been able to give them some feedback because their API is pretty newly released, which has been pretty cool. So, But yeah, so my suggestion is make a Tasty Treat account because that takes a few days to get it and to fund it. These ATAs, aren't going to require a lot. We're keeping the minimums the same. It's going to be, 1,000 is the lowest that you would have to add into that ATA to go. As far as what live accounts have earned, we don't have that data yet, right? Because it's new on options. But those who ran Big Get, you guys know what the capabilities are, and it's pretty much going to be the same, if not more. So super excited, and we'll see you guys in the room. TikTok, you guys can hang out for a minute in case you have any more questions, but those in the community, we'll see you in the room in about 10-15 minutes.